December 5th. So we have the moon in Aquarius here all day. We just shifted into this Aquarius energy late last evening. The moon in Aquarius allows us to emotionally detach from our situations, from our circumstances, in order to act as the observer, see the greater, grander picture at play, and definitely think outside of the box for some creative solutions, for innovation, for progress, especially considering the limitations, the restrictions, the blockages, the challenges that we would have been very much illuminated to over the last couple of days of having the moon in that Capricorn energy. We are looking for freedom, liberation, and independence from a lot of the weight of the heaviness that we've been very much sitting in, very much feeling, very much experiencing. And the moon in Aquarius helps us do just that. Now, we have a lot going on here today. There's going to be some pressure building. Again, I'm going to encourage you to listen to the Ascension forecast for this week to remind yourself that you're not cray-cray, that there are energy shifts going on that do really impact the physical form, and why that particular Ascension symptom is popping off when it does. And in this case, it's because today is the last day that Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, drive, passion, desire, even our anger, will be direct. We have Mars going into his retrograde here tomorrow. If you haven't listened to that particular astro forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so. And of course, if you don't have your December energy guide in front of you, I'm going to recommend you do that as well, because we have a lot to capture on paper about what we're thinking and feeling and experiencing. We are going to have to capture this and journal it correctly, because we're needing to come back to this particular reference at the beginning of the year. Now, as if that wasn't enough, we are also going to have Mercury and the Sun come together for a cazimi, a chasmi, a combust, a conjunction, whatever it is that you want to call it. Basically, it's when Mercury and the Sun come together to mark the halfway point of Mercury's retrograde. And that is going to put a lot of pressure in the head. It is a very positive energy because we're going to gain major details and insight about a situation and a circumstance. However, we're missing a lot of the pivotal details, the most important parts of the story that, again, we won't gain until Mercury actually goes direct. But we're making a little bit of headway here. Now, with all of that being said, there are 10 different aspects taking place here today. 7 of them are going to be involving the moon. The moon in this Aquarius energy going to make a little bit of a tough interaction with Mercury right out of the gate. We're going to see a little bit of tension, a little bit of conflict kind of be triggered and activated within us, because our heart space, the moon, and our head space, Mercury, they're not on the same page. The moon in Aquarius is thinking very futuristically about the goal, vision, and dream that we want to be living, that we want to be getting to work on manifesting, while Mercury, he's retrograde, so he's looking back. He has to be revisiting his old ideas, his old big plans. He has to be revisiting, revising old projects, old ways of thinking, old truths. So instead of thinking about the future like the moon in Aquarius would like us to do, there's a lot of things that we have to be revisiting, reframing in our mental plane. And of course, Mercury is very much responsible for that. The moon is then going to make an awkward interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings, who is also retrograde, but in Gemini energy. Yes, this is air on air action. Aquarius is a fixed air sign. Gemini is a mutable air sign, but they're not getting along. Why? Well, because the moon in Aquarius, thinking about the future, thinking about the adjustments, the improvements that we could make to actually create a realm of reality that looks good and feels good. Jupiter, on the other hand, planet of growth, expansion, he's looking back. He's reflecting back at old ideas, at old mindsets, at old narratives, at old tough love life lessons. So again, emotionally speaking, we want to be thinking about the future, but our attention is very much being pulled back to the past. A lot of the information, a lot of the details that we want to know as of right now on how to move on and how to move forward are found in the past. And this is a little bit of a conflict in the energies because, of course, there are a lot of energies very much voting for us to be focused on the future, while a lot of those energies are forcing us to take a look at the past. The moon in Aquarius then going to sextile, beautiful interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. The North Node in Aries energy focused on the future, focused on where we can grow, where we can evolve, where we can make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains. And of course, the sextile means these two are getting along. And the reason why they're getting along is because they're both futuristically focused. This is going to be a good confidence builder. This is going to be a good energy for us to be rapidly processing different options, opportunities, and variables of what we could take action upon here in the short term in order to, again, set us up, align us for those long-term gains. We have Mercury retrograde in this Sag energy, semi-squaring, which creates tension and conflict with Pluto, the great transformer, who is in Aquarius energy. And so this doesn't feel good. This is going to put a lot of pressure on our headspace. This is going to trigger and activate a lot of mental tension or mental anxiety or paranoia, worry, or just plain stress. Now, does that feel good? No, it does not. However, there's a lot to learn out of those particular thoughts, ideas, and emotions. And because this is a trigger and activation to really obsess over something like a topic, a theme, a person, an issue, that we can't change, that we can't control. So why are we obsessing over it? This is, again, a tough love life lesson in the ability to override those negative programmings, those negative looping obsessions. Now, at the same time, it's going to be very hard because, again, we're feeling lots of pressure. We're feeling a little bit, overwhelmed and troubled, if you will. It almost feels like we have our detective hats on, but we're taking the role of detective a little bit too far because we're not really a detective. We're digging too much. And when you dig, you can be rest assured that eventually you're going to unearth something that doesn't look good, that doesn't feel good, that is going to throw a wrench into your plans. So although this is bringing up a lot of darkness, again, the whole point of Pluto is to take us onto this path of darkness in order to train us, or at least give us the option and opportunity to retrain our neural pathways to take the fear, the obsession, the worry, all of those things, and flip it into a fuel that actually empowers us, motivates us, and really puts us in a state of empowerment. Now, Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, she is going to be semi-squaring, again, creating tension and conflict with Saturn, the lord of karma, who, of course, is in Pisces energy. Now, this also isn't going to feel good. It's going to really highlight the differences between us and other people, the differences between our heart and our head, the differences between where we're at and where it is that we want to be. And sometimes when we kind of get illuminated to the differences, we can over-exaggerate the gap, the distance that we need to kind of bridge in order to get back on the same page. And so, first of all, it allows us to kind of get a little bit too heavy in our emotions. Not so good. Heart activations. Again, listen to the Ascension forecast for this week. It also puts us in a situation where we kind of emotionally withdraw, where we create time, energy, and space between us and those that we love because we're so unstable. We're so uncertain of the way that we're thinking, the way that we're feeling. We're just not grounded, and we don't know in our own damn selves what to do to calm that or to get organized with it or to feel like we are stabilized, that we don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. And so we become overwhelmed with anxiety. We become overwhelmed with all that is going wrong, with the troubles that are popping up in our lives. And it just puts us in a situation where we're second guessing ourselves. And of course, that never feels good. But of course, there's a lot to learn from this particular not so nice energy, which is where we got to boss up, where we got to get a grip, where we have the opportunity and option to reframe not only our thoughts, but our emotions, and to get organized, focusing in on the prize. Then the moon in this Aquarius energy is going to directly oppose and sit across from Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our actions, passion, desire, even our anger, who's in the heart and soul of the zodiac in this Leo energy. And special mention here, this is the last aspect that Mars will be involved with before going retrograde here on the 6th. I did kind of talk about the opposition going on between the Aquarius energy that, of course, Pluto's in, Venus will soon be in, the moon is currently in, to Mars, who again is withdrawing from the external world to move inward in that astro forecast that I put out for Mars's retrograde. So again, I'm going to encourage you to do all the things, download all the guides, listen to all the forecasts, and to stay in alignment. But of course, an opposition doesn't feel good. And emotionally speaking, we're not going to feel so good either. And this is going to trigger and activate, let's call it passion. But again, the line between passion and anger is very, very thin. We are definitely going to start feeling like we are not in control of our thoughts, of our emotions, of our situations, of our circumstances. And of course, magnifying where it is that we don't feel in control is going to be an over-exaggerated state of being, meaning we're going to feel like we're not in control over anything, when realistically, that is just not true. But again, where our energy is at, there is just a magnification of all the things that are wrong, all the things that aren't working, all the things that we wish that we could change that we just don't have control over. The moon in Aquarius is going to make a positive interaction with Chiron, though, Chiron being the wounded healer, retrograde in this Aries energy, helping us to identify the pain, the trauma, the wound still alive and well within us and actually do something about it. The moon interacting with Chiron in this way has us feeling like we can tackle whatever is thrown at us, which is coming at a beautiful time in the day, seeing as, again, the day kind of get off to a bumpy start. This is an opportunity for us to be reframing the challenges, the obstacles that we are currently facing as opportunities for growth, for healing, for evolvement. The moon is going to semi-square Neptune, though. Neptune being retrograde in this Pisces energy for a couple of more days here. Semi-square highlights the tension and the conflict, and mostly because the moon in Aquarius, although very futuristically focused, we are more reliant on logic, practicality, intellect, while Neptune, of course, is very dependent on hopes and wishes and dreams and intuition. And so, there is going to be a gap highlighted there. That's what today's name of the game is identify the distance, the gap in between where it is that we're at and where it is that we desire to be. And right now, emotionally speaking, we're kind of leaning a little bit more into intellect than we are hopes, wishes, dreams, and intuition. 9:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, retrograde in the Sag energy, going to come up, bump into, team up with, conjunct, Kazemi, combust, whatever it is that you want to call it, with the sun in Sagittarius, and again, marking the halfway point of this particular Mercury retrograde. So we love this energy, first of all, because a conjunction is just as much of an ending as it is a beginning. So whatever it is that we've been trying to provide closure to as far as old truths, old perspectives, old ideas, old plans go, probably going to have a little bit of an oomph where closures and endings are concerned. The beginning part that we are kicking off here is a beautiful one because it gives us a download, a sense of clarity, an aha moment, a light bulb moment, a very, very small but very strong window to look into the past and to reframe it in such a way so that we're no longer confused, we're no longer hold attachments, and we can restructure it in a way that is going to help answer some of the questions that we've been having about how to move on and how to move forward. So again, I've been saying that the questions that we have, the clarity that we're craving about where it is that we're moving on into the future, all of that information is found in the past. So this is going to be, I'm going to say, an exciting time because we are mentally processing things at an accelerated rate, which helps us to reframe and restructure, again, the old ass ideas and narratives that have been holding us back, keeping us attached to old truths, old perspectives, old plans, old ideas, all of the old things, and really shine a bright light on where it is that we have a new perspective emerging, where it is that we have a new understanding, a new truth, a new adventure, a new quest, a new path, a new direction, moving on and moving forward. And so this is a very powerful time. Again, side note to this, Mercury also rules over communication. So be very careful with what it is that you're saying, what it is that you're writing, what it is that you're committing yourself to, as our words carry a lot more weight under this particular influence than any other time. Now, the last thing that we have going on here today is the moon in this Aquarius energy, making a positive interaction with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, in Pisces energy. So Saturn is actually the traditional ruler of this Aquarius energy. So there's a little bit of a powerhouse energy and intensity popping off here. We have the ability at this particular juncture to reframe, to get organized with what we are inspired to pursue. So Saturn in this Pisces energy is doing kind of two jobs. First of all, we're dissolving the old boundaries, the old belief system, all of the old that we need to get rid of out of our physical form, out of our belief system, out of our, let's call it spiritual selves. We have to remove all that before we can kind of build again. Building a new belief system, building a new dream, tapping into creative solutions. And the moon in Aquarius energy being hyper focused on the future. Yes, we're leaning into intellect. Yes, we're leaning into logic and practicality. But we have the organizational building skills of Saturn in this Pisces energy to allow the channel between our higher selves, our soul selves, where creativity, dreams, fantasy, and imagination run rampant. We have the ability to channel that particular energy flow into our physical bodies, into our emotions, where we then get to apply the logical, practical, rational steps, systems, and procedures that we need to implement, that we need to follow in order to actually bring said goal, vision, and dreams into fruition, into materialization, into real life. So I would say this is a very powerful day of energies. And again, this is the last day of quote unquote normal energies, because we're moving into a weekend of back to back to back to back to back energy shifts that are going to change the game for us. Again, all of the reasons of why I am going to recommend that you listen to all of the things, all of the forecasts, that you download all of the guides, that you stay in alignment. Because again, it is better to roll than be dragged.